Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of Sensi. I'm very excited to have a special guest that I've known for many years with me today, Lori Foust. Lori is the Director of Housing at Franklin and Marshall College, local to me in Pennsylvania. Well, somewhat local to me in Pennsylvania. Those that have tuned in to previous episodes know how Sensi goes. I bring on an interesting guest. We trade 3 questions apiece, hopefully have a unique conversation and learn about one another throughout the way. Lori, if you'd love to, I'd love to have you introduce yourself and we'll get into the first question.
Hi there, everybody. Honored to be here with Jay and all of you. And I am, as Jay mentioned, the Director of Housing at Franklin and Marshall College and so much more. And I have 2 daughters that are married and have children. And I have 3 grandchildren. I have 2 grandsons here in Lancaster, PA, and 1 granddaughter in Houston, Texas.
Awesome. Thanks for being with us today, Lori. As the guest, the rules are guest gets to go first with the first question. So if you've got a good first one, I'd love to hear it.
Okay. What types of things do you enjoy doing in your spare time or your free time?
Ooh, okay. Free time is few and far between these days. You know that I've got 2 small boys, and I used to, I joke with people that I had a lot of hobbies before I had kids, and then my kids kind of became my hobbies. So, I enjoy doing a lot of things with them. My oldest is getting into golf, which is something that's always been a sport of mine that I've loved. Doing Legos with the kids and things like that. Prior to kids, I had a lot more hobbies. I definitely played a lot more golf prior to having kids. I made it to the gym a lot more than once or twice a week back in those days. But those were really the 2 things that I always enjoyed doing the most in spare or free time. I still get to do them a little bit at this point, and I'm hopeful, that my boys get into one or the other, and I can kind of do that by proxy if it's something that they get into as well.
Yeah, my grandsons are getting into golf now. So
Awesome.
it's always fun to receive those videos from my son-in-law. Now, how about your joy of fast cars?
I do enjoy fast cars. I've always been a car guy. When I first started driving, was really when the first Fast and the Furious movie came out, and that kind of changed things for a lot of people that were into cars. It really kind of exploded in the car scene. I got away for a little while, but I've always been kind of a bit of a gearhead. I'm an engineer by background, so I've always liked working on cars and cranking wrenches. I don't go quite as fast these days. I take a lot less risks now that I have kids than probably I did 10 or 15 years ago. But I do enjoy the occasional speed once in a while.
Yeah, and sometimes Jerry's in that back seat with you, so you really
Correct.
shouldn't go as fast. But I did notice a couple of times where you had him out there helping you wash the car too. So that's awesome.
You got to teach them young. Got to teach them young. He'll be cutting grass soon. I do let him wash the car. I'll tell you, he's not the best influence though in the back seat though. You would think that he'd want to go slow. He's the devil on my shoulder, asking me to go fast. He calls it hit the
Faster, Dad.
boost.
Faster, Dad. That's
Yeah,
right.
as long as he doesn't tell mom, then maybe we step on it a little bit. But otherwise, we're very, very careful, especially when the kids are in the car.
That's for sure.
Awesome. All right. My first question for you, Lori, is so you spent a lot of time, a large part of your career in higher education, right? Specifically in housing. I'd love to hear some of the ways that maybe you've witnessed the industry change, throughout your time in housing.
Well, a fun fact, when I was a senior in high school, I actually got a part-time job at Penn State York campus.
Hmm.
And I worked in the registrar's office back when the computer room was actually cards with punch holes in them. So that's taken me back and that's aging me for sure. So that's one of the biggest changes that I've seen. But I stayed involved with higher ed throughout our time. We moved a lot with my husband's job. He was climbing the corporate ladder, and I followed him around with the children, and we moved about every 2 years. So I
Oh,
stayed
wow.
involved, Anne Arundel Community College, Washington, New Jersey Community College, and then, of course, Franklin and Marshall College. And I was also worked in the healthcare industry as well. So I think the two really complement each other. And I got involved in housing because I really felt the love when I worked at the registrar's office in Penn State. And one of the biggest changes that I've noticed too over the years is that the parents are much more involved than they were years ago. And I'm not exactly sure in our case if it's the price tag of the institution or if it's just, helicopter parenting. I don't really know. But I feel like the parents are much more involved than they were at one time. And I also feel like there is a greater need for institutions to have special accommodations for students. So many of them are coming now with medical accommodations. And, an old institution like Franklin and Marshall College, our residence halls have been updated and upgraded, but, singles with bathrooms are not a dime a dozen. So that's been a challenge for us in the industry. But one of the pluses is that I can say is the software that we are now given that help us perform our job tasks better. Enter MCR Housing, right? And I heard your episode with Matt, and I heard him say about, the software and how you got involved in the software. And actually, I was one of those people that called you and said, Jay, you got to write something. We need your help. So I feel like that's the industry's plus is the software and how it's helping us do our jobs.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm sure the accommodations piece has been a struggle, right? Very old buildings, hard to just stick a bathroom in a single. Um, the parent thing I could relate to a little bit. Now that I've got school-age children, I get it. I try to pull back when I feel like I'm being a little bit too overbearing. But having dealt with students on the My College Roomie side for 10 years, um, you're right. 10 years ago, a lot of the students were doing their own thing. We get support tickets from parents, asking questions where the student could easily do the same. So I totally get it and can relate.
That's for sure. And my next question is, can you tell us something about yourself that might surprise us?
Surprise you. Okay. I think if my wife would say I'm rather boring, there's probably not a lot that would be surprising. Um, what I would say is this is probably something not a lot of people know. My first business venture was actually a supplement store in Orlando, Florida. This was back in probably 2008, 2009. I had moved down to Orlando. I was working for a Department of Defense contractor at the time, and I had a buddy who was also a fellow engineer and was having a hard time finding a job. 2008, 2009 was not the best time to be job hunting. Um, and he said, "What do you think about opening up a supplement shop, kind of like a GNC, but our own brand?" And so he moved down from Pennsylvania to Orlando, and we found a retail space, and we found some distributors, and had our hat at trying to sell supplements. In hindsight, probably wasn't the best choice for a business. Bodybuilding.com and Amazon were starting to sell those things, and brick and mortar got really tough. We learned a lot. We did not make much money. Um, we ended up selling it after about 3.5 or 4 years, but it was certainly a learning experience, and I was able to take a lot of lessons from, I'll say, failures in trying to have a supplement shop in an era where everybody buys things online, and learn from that and grow from that. I think apply a lot of those things to how I ran my college roomie, and eventually Campus Kaizen. So maybe that's something some people know, but I don't talk about a ton because it seems like it's a lifetime ago.
Sounds like it was fun though while it lasted. And all those things that you do leading up to your successes were part of the of building of your personality. So I'm sure
Correct.
there was a reason. There was a reason somewhere that it was a good thing to do.
Yeah, you never fail, right? You always learn. That's the way I
Right.
look
And
at things.
you know my connection with health and wellness. So
I do.
uh, I'm a big believer of supplements too. So that's another conversation for
Maybe you could
another
sell me some then.
day.
All right, my next question is in a similar vein. Um, you've been working on a side hustle for the last couple years. I know you've got a few of them. The one I want to hear more about is really the one that is in the wine industry. I'm a big wine fan. Um, I don't know that I'm a wine expert, but I know enough to be dangerous and what I like. And, what I'm curious to hear, Lori, is, why did you take on a side gig, first of all, having a pretty demanding job?
Yeah, well, as I said, I was in the health and wellness space 2018. And then at the tail end of COVID, um, I was introduced to a line of wine products and coffee now that are considered clean crafted. And because I've tried to clean up my diet, clean up my living choices, this sounded interesting to me. Yes, I do have a demanding full time job, but I also have a life outside of work. And that life outside of work, because of the demanding job, needs to be something fun. And what can be more fun than drinking, sharing, marketing wine and coffee?
Love it.
So this friend of mine introduced me to this product that is has no toxic pesticides used on the grapes, no added sugar, which is a big one, no synthetic additives like mega purple or those other items that shouldn't be in there in the first place. And the company is a woman owned company, a former
Hmm.
attorney that opened this company, and she uses small family owned growers. And those small family owned growers have old vines. So older grapevines don't produce as many grapes, but the grapes they do produce are
Mm,
wonderful. So I just was like, I fell for this hook, line, and sinker. It's a woman owned company, and I fell for their mission and their product. And for me personally, I used to get sick when I drank wine.
mm,
got real bad headaches. And this wine did not do that for me. So that in itself was a plus. So it was something that I could do that was not a conflict of interest. It was something that I could do that was fun and relaxing and would take me away from that stress of the day position. Now, obviously, this side hustle was, free time, evenings,
hmm
weekend tastings in people's homes. And this was like at the tail end of COVID where nobody was getting together quite yet. So we started out by doing some virtual tastings, which was really fun because everybody was on Zoom anyway.
Sure.
Everybody obviously needed a drink. So we we started with doing virtual tastings, and then of course, my husband accuses me of giving more away than I actually sell sometimes. But that's okay too, because how else do you get people to try the wine, right? So there are
Yeah.
people on this call today. There are people that are going to listen to this call that have received wine from me as a gift. And I will continue to do that because that's just what I do and how I am. And I'm happy to answer any questions about the wine. I'm also want to let you know that it can also be a business opportunity for others and multiple streams of income, as you know, Jay, because I know you do it as well. multiple streams of income are definitely the way to go right now, because you have to have a plan B. You have to have a backup plan in case something happens to the full-time opportunity. So I just wanted to let everybody know you can find me on social media. I have a great website with a wine quiz that you can actually take a wine
Ooh.
quiz and indicate what your palate preferences are. And it'll actually guide you to different wines in my line that would meet your palate preferences.
Ooh, that's fantastic. I'll have to go on and take that. I'm curious now. Maybe what
Yes,
we'll do as well, Lori, is if you could send me some of the links to the information, I'll put it in the description for the video too, so people can find it more easily.
that's great. And I think you're a red wine lover. Is that correct?
I am. I mean, I've come to enjoy, I'll tell you what, primarily I've always been a red wine drinker, but my wife and I went to France earlier this year, and she's a big champagne person. And, I could take it or leave it, but we spent 3 days in the Champagne region of France, and now I'm a champagne person as well. So she's helping me also expand my palate and my,
That's right. And
my
in
love for
my
different
line
types of
right
wine.
now, I have a great rosé from Provence, France,
Ooh.
where some of the best rosés. And I also thought of you. I have a Malbec in my line that's from
Mm.
Argentina. And I'm going to tell you a fun fact about this Argentina winery, vineyard, I should say. It's at 20,000 feet. And do you have any idea why the vineyard would be at 20,000 feet? What would be the need for
I do,
that?
I do not.
Well, pests cannot survive at that altitude.
Interesting. Makes sense.
So there's
Yeah.
no need for toxic pesticides. And the Malbec it's from Mendoza, Argentina.
Mm.
So it's an amazing Malbec. And we also have awesome, if you're a Pinot Noir fan, we have some great Pinot Noir choices from Willamette Valley, Oregon, where some of the
Oh,
best Pinot
nice.
Noir grapes are grown. So we have wine from in the States. We also have wine from Chile, Italy, France. So there's just such a wide variety. I usually have anywhere from 70 to 80 bottles in my line at any
Is
given
that right?
time. And we do have champagne. And we
Okay.
also have coffee, which is another product that is highly sprayed with pesticides outside the country. So if you're I can take you from coffee to wine, from morning to night. And the neat thing about the coffee is it's a blend from Honduras and Guatemala.
Okay.
And that blend, and it again, it's clean crafted. It's independently tested for pesticides and toxic chemicals like mycotoxins, and it tastes great. So I can send some coffee your way so you can try it.
I'm also a big coffee guy. Sounds like I've got an order coming up as well. I'll have to try some of those new ones. That's awesome, Lori. So I got a bonus question then. Um, some of the wines I like. What's your go-to? And I understand it may be situation dependent, right? Maybe depending on what you're eating, where you're at,
Yes.
but you're chilling out for the night. You had a somewhat stressful day at work. You're gonna sit on the couch with Don and maybe pop a show on. What kind of wine are you gonna open?
Well, I'm going to open a red for him, and
Okay.
he likes the blends. Well, you see how I mean, this is how dedicated I am to my high school sweetheart. I met him when I was 15 and he was 16. We are
Awesome.
still together. We still dig each other. And we are going to be married 43 years this year. And we
Wow.
were together approximately 5 to 6 years before that. So I would first pour Don a beautiful red blend.
Okay.
And there's a Conte de la Terre brand that we have that's a red blend that he really likes. So, I open the bottle and I don't open it early enough to decant it long enough. So we sometimes cheat with an aerator
Hmm.
for the reds. And then I'll open myself probably right now this summer. I'm into Sauvignon Blanc.
Okay.
And I'm really
Wonderful.
into the Sauvignon Blancs, that crisp, dry Sauvignon Blanc. And most of the wine in my line is dry on the drier side simply because we do not add sugar. Now, we do
Sure.
have some wine in the line that could taste a little sweeter, but it's not because we added sugar, it's because they stopped the fermentation process earlier.
Gotcha.
And that makes a
Interesting.
wine sweeter. So there are no processing aids, no added sugar. Even someone on a keto diet could drink my wine successfully without a problem. So I'm really enjoying it. And again, this is like a fun thing to do. And there's commission involved.
Even better.
That's right.
Even better. I'll tell you what, the next time that we get together to do this, though, you're gonna have to send me a bottle first. We'll open it on the show, and we can have a wine version of Common Sensi.
A wine tasting. That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
that's awesome. Awesome, Lori. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. And I guess I have one more question.
Okay.
What was the biggest challenge that you faced when you pulled the team together to write this MCR housing program? What was the biggest
Ooh.
challenge that you faced? Um, you were already in the software arena.
Yep.
You already have an amazing product called My College Roomie. You already
Yep.
have your Guardian amazing product for judicial matters. And now you're going to add MCR housing to the lineup, right? So
Yep.
what challenges do you face when you attempt to do that from the square one?
Yeah, I think there's a couple challenges that maybe aren't unique to MCR housing, but any new product that kind of folded into our process. The biggest one I think for MCR housing was deciding the right time and determining that there was enough demand to make the investment, right? It's a big product, a lot of time and effort went into it. Um, and so for me early on, I kind of wish I started it 6 months earlier. Uh, you always wish you started earlier. But for me, I struggled early on because folks like you and others had reached out and said, the industry's changing. Would you build something? Um, and for me, I always went back and forth of, would the juice be worth the squeeze, right? Was there enough there to make the investment in a new product? And thankfully, over time, the need just kept growing. More and more people were coming out of the woodwork, was having more and more conversations. So that was maybe an early challenge that kind of went by the wayside the more time went on. Um, and then with any new product, it's how do you get it right the first time, right? You don't want to deliver a product that is buggy, that doesn't work, that doesn't meet the needs of the people that are going to eventually use it. So I think that's an inherent risk or challenge in any new product. But the way that we've always operated, and I did this with my college roomie, I did it with Guardian, and it worked twice, and I figured let's do it again. This is a model that works for us, is simply ask what people want. So throughout the early development process, what I did was find a group of people that were one willing and able to share their experiences, and also participate on kind of a development team, using what I call the voice of the customer to try to pull all the things that they want out of their minds and wrap that all up into a package of something we can build. Um, Same process we took with the other two products. I find that the easiest way to give somebody what they want is by simply ask what they want and then try to deliver just that. And so we spent a few months kind of working in the weeds, identifying what should the product do, what shouldn't it do, how should it do it, how should it look, and had a pretty cross-functional team of people with varying experiences using other software platforms. So a lot of them knew what they liked, they knew what they weren't getting, and they also knew what they didn't like. And so it was a matter of a lot of listening, a lot of packaging all that up, and then getting that into kind of a specification that we could go and say, we've got a pretty good idea of what people want. Let's go try to build this thing. So challenging is also, I guess a challenge could also be being patient. You want to snap your fingers and have it be done and have it be ready and have people using it. um, but learning to be patient with the process to make sure you get it right the first time.
And do your same code writers, or what is that what you call them? Do they write code for your other programs as well, or did you need special coding folks for the housing software?
No, we've actually got all the same development staff that works on all of our products. In fact, when folks see MCR Housing, if they're familiar with My College Roomie, it's going to look a lot like My College Roomie. It's built on the same structure, the same code base. It's almost like as if you looked at My College Roomie as it was, and we built the housing functions around it
Okay.
using the same
Okay.
look and feel, same mobile apps. And we try to retain a lot of the things that people like about My College Roomie and use that to influence what MCR housing looks like.
Ah, my demo is scheduled and I cannot wait to see it.
Likewise, people are very, very excited. We love it. Can't wait to show it to you.
That's
All
awesome.
right, my last question then, Lori, is final year in higher ed, right? Final year in higher ed. You're getting ready to retire. You're counting down the days. I think your LinkedIn headline even says something about being ready to retire, right? So you're ready. You're ready to go. First, congratulations. You've earned it. You've worked hard. You were a one-woman show for a long time, wearing all the hats. So if anybody deserves it, it's you. What are you looking forward to most about retirement? And what do you think you're going to miss the most about working in student housing? Two-part question.
Yeah, that tagline in LinkedIn I changed the other day just
Oh, did
because
you? Okay. Okay.
someone made a comment and I thought, okay, maybe I'm getting a little crazy here. But
Okay.
anyway, yes, I am retiring in October, and for those that work with me and around me, they are sick of hearing about it. They are just so sick of hearing about it. But I'm shouting it from the rooftops because, as you said, I was a one woman department for about 13 years. And they finally got me some support, and we've been working together, this additional support person, we've been working together for a few years, and it's really been wonderful to help to try to phase me out a little bit. But I think the main thing was that I was the only one on my campus that really knew how things worked in the current software that we're using, and I never felt like that was the good business plan.
Right.
So, if my plane goes down, or, I'm not a young chicken anymore. So, what happens if something goes wrong, right? So I just felt like for the college, it was just a good idea to have someone else that was familiar with the workings. That said, for probably the last year, I've been building a timeline and a procedure manual
Hmm.
where most of my functions that I'm doing, I'm typing step by step instructions. Now, it's in a Google Drive, a shared Google Drive with others. It's not necessarily the prettiest, but that it's all there. And if somebody wants to make it pretty later, then go right ahead. But for now, I've just got to get it down. I've got to get what I know out of my head, right? I do
Sure.
have a feeling though that I'm not going to disappear from the higher ed arena. I have a lot of friends that are working in higher ed, and, maybe we'll collaborate on something. Maybe we'll work
Yeah.
together on other things. So, all you folks out there in LinkedIn land watching, Common Sensi, this is not going to be the last you're going to see of me in higher ed, in the higher ed arena. But I think what I'm looking forward to most is no alarm clock.
Mm.
I don't know if it's my ring, if it's I don't know what it is, but my alarm in the morning is so annoying that it's got to go away. So that's like my biggest thing. I do have a puppy though. Scout is my 1 year old Wheaton Terrier Poodle mix. He's also my alarm clock, but he's a lot nicer than that other sound that comes out of my cell phone. We hope to spend more time at our vacation home outside of Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. Delaware is a fun place. You know, getting up early in the morning. I did this last weekend. I set my alarm for 5 a.m. And for those that know me, I'm not a morning person. So to set my alarm at 5 a.m. to go to the beach to watch the sunrise with my puppy was just like, I thought to myself, you know, this is going to be my life soon. So
So
we
nice.
watched the sunrise. You know, we talked to some people on the beach that were looking for shells. It's just a whole different feeling when you wake up and don't have the responsibility of over 2,000 young, impressionable, college aged students on your shoulders. I mean, think about that. Like every morning when I woke up, something was going on, something happened, something needed attention. And to not have that in the morning, that's going to be pretty amazing. Now, what I will miss are people like you and my colleagues at work that I, collaborate with on a daily basis. I will miss that. I'm not going to lie. But you know what? I still have the same cell number. I get to retain my F&M email address because I'm a retiree. So you can find me a lot of different ways. I also have the 3 grandchildren. So I hope to spend a lot more time with them. They're good. They're starting to get involved in sports. So this Mimi will
Oh,
be in her soccer mom Mimi chair, cheering them on. My son-in-law is a pilot with United Commercial
oh, cool.
Airlines. So he's going to add me to his, I don't even know what you call it, friend and family list. So I can fly to Texas. My granddaughter's in Houston. I can fly to Texas anytime I want in the what they call a non-rev flight. So I just have to take my little carry-on and I have to dress properly and sit and wait for an empty seat on an airplane going to Texas, and I fly for free.
Wow, what a nice perk. That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
And the reason I say I have to dress appropriately is because, well, I'm a clothes person anyway, but they have requirements for people that are flying non-rev as a friends and family. So you
Interesting.
can't wear like sweatpants. You can't wear flip-flops. You can't, wear pajamas like a lot of people wear in the airports nowadays. So you just have to dress like you're going to a business casual meeting. And then my son-in-law has the ability to look at the loads of the airplane. So he can say to me, well, there's 20 seats open right now on the 10 a.m. flight out of Baltimore. So then I can just go and hope those 20 seats don't get filled, jump on the
Right.
plane with my carry-on, because you can't take a bigger bag, which is also going to be hard for me, but you can't
Because you're
take a
on
larger
standby.
bag because you never know which plane you're going to get on. So I
Sure.
have to do my carry on. And then I can go to Texas anytime I want to go.
Amazing.
So that's
That's
pretty
fantastic.
amazing. Yeah.
A lot of really cool things to look forward to. In fact, I'm disappointed Scout didn't make a cameo on the call today. Maybe next time.
Well, he is not too far away.
Is that right? Okay.
I don't know if you can see him laying under that table back there.
Oh, yeah, I see him. I see him. Yeah. He's taking a snooze.
Yeah, he wants
That's
to be
awesome.
part of every conversation. So,
As he should be. As he
yeah,
should be. Well, this has been awesome, Lori. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to come on and chat. I love to get the links to Scout and Cellar. That way we can get people to come on and check it out, or anyone that's interested, in the business aspect of it as well. They can reach out to you. But this has been great. Next time we're definitely doing wine.
yes,
Um,
I promise.
and I'm very happy to hear that, although you're on the way to retirement, that you're not going to disappear. I've enjoyed
No,
getting to know you over the years, and I hope that continues.
it will. It definitely will. Thanks a lot for
Awesome.
having me. Take
My
care.
pleasure. See you soon.
Okay.